Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Oksana, and this is Education USA Virtual. I'm glad to introduce our March program, and this program will be related to sport degrees and some other programs that are related to sport. If you are interested in any of these webinars, don't forget to scan QR code on the screen and register for our upcoming events. So basically, we will have almost 5 webinars that are related to sport, but today I'm glad to introduce a study at Mizzou, Exploring Sports Majors and Beyond webinar with wonderful colleagues from the University of Missouri. So if you are interested in combining your passion for sport with such world-class education in the United States, this webinar is definitely for you. I'm glad to invite Ryan and Jillian to our webinar today. And thank you for joining. Thank you for your desire to present about your programs, and the floor is yours.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Oksana. We're incredibly happy to be here and looking forward to talking to you all about potential careers within the sporting field. So to kind of start out, we've got this first slide here. We are officially the University of Missouri. However, we often go by our nickname, Mizzou. And as we talk about sports, this is very fitting in that that's very much a sporting nickname here. So if you follow the U.S. college football, or right now we're obviously getting ready for the big NCAA basketball tournament that will be coming up later this month, you'll hear about Mizzou. Well, Mizzou is the University of Missouri. So similarly, I'll use those terms interchangeably today as we kind of go through our presentation. So joining me today is my colleague Jillian Collins. She's the director of our sponsored student program. She'll be answering any questions that you all may have in the chat, as well as kind of providing a little bit more information as I walk us through the presentation today. My name's Ryan Griffin. I'm the director of our international admissions office here at Mizzou. And my team and I are responsible for recruiting and then reviewing all of our international undergraduate applicants. So we are very proud to work with students from all over the globe that want to come here and study with us at Mizzou. So our agenda for today, we're first going to have a little introduction to our university. So giving you an idea of our size, some of the programs that we offer, some of what studying and living with us here on campus can look like. Then we're going to kind of look into what are some of the different careers around sports that you may be looking at. Now, the focus will be less on becoming maybe the next Messi or Wemby, right? Those obviously take a lot of individual talents that may be beyond everyday students. But what we're going to look at are what some of the possible careers that can be around those areas, right? So being able to, if you have a real passion for sport, either as a player or as a spectator, but being able to kind of create a career that's going to allow you to be involved with and working within the sport field. And then after we kind of look at what some of those possibilities are going to be, we'll look at what the academic pathways or the skill sets that you can develop to work in those fields. So let's go ahead and get started. So to start with, we'll kind of give you an idea of where we're located. So here at Mizzou, we like to say we're in the middle of it all. And by that, we mean one, the state of Missouri is right in the middle of the United States. And then the city of Columbia is represented by the X on our map here. So right in the center of the state of Missouri. This is a region called the Midwest in the United States. It's areas that are probably, at least geographically, somewhat familiar with some of the areas that you all are coming from. So a very agricultural area, as well as home to a lot of warm and friendly people who love to host international students on our campuses. Now, the city of Columbia that we're located in, it's a little bit smaller city, so just under 130,000 people. But as we're going to find out, with our university being quite large, this is what in the U.S. is often called a college town, right? Where you have a large university or maybe multiple higher education institutions in a city that really makes that city very young, very vibrant, and certainly a city that's very focused on students. So our town, we are typically rated as one of the top college towns here in the U.S., and due to the influence of the University of Missouri, we have a really international feel. So even though we're a smaller city right in the middle of the United States, we still have a fairly cosmopolitan feel based on all of the students, faculty, and international partnerships that we have here at the University of Missouri. Weather-wise, this kind of gives you an idea of what we look like throughout the 4 seasons. So right now, obviously, we're kind of coming out of winter, moving into spring. This past week, we've been flirting with some degree 15, 16, really starting to already get into our kind of spring temperatures, getting away from the snow from the winter. Summers can be quite warm, as well as then fall, probably my favorite time here on our campus, can be incredibly beautiful when we actually start to see the leaves change and that summer heat start to subside. So let's learn a little bit about Mizzou. We are the flagship university for the state university system here in Missouri. We're a very large campus. So right now we have over 32,000 students on campus. Those students represent all 50 of the US states, as well as over 100 countries from around the world. So a very diverse group of students that choose to come and study with us. And part of that is because of the quality of the programs that we offer. So we're very proud to be a member of the AAU, or the Association of American Universities. This is an invitation-only group of now 72 or 38 public universities that are the top research and teaching schools throughout North America. Last year on our campus, we had over a $500 million US research budget. Now, for you as a potential undergraduate student, this is important in a couple of different ways. Number one, that's sort of a focus on research, as well as then having the facilities and everything in place, means that we attract a lot of top faculty from around the world. So right now we are proud to have 14 members of the National Academy of Sciences, as well as one Nobel Prize laureate that are part of our faculty. So those are actually the professors that you're getting to learn from. So you're getting to learn from some of the very best. Now, the other way in which that big research focus can truly benefit you as an undergraduate student is through what we call our Missouri method of instruction. So this is an intentional incorporation of hands-on learning in every program that we offer. So be that being a part of research projects, build clubs, being able to get in clinical time if you're looking at something that's more in maybe the health side. It means that you're really able to actually get a great preview of what your career is going to look like even before you've graduated and stepped off campus. So I mentioned that we're big, and here is an overhead map of our campus. So if you think back to that very first slide and we had a picture of a large kind of traditional college building, that looks really small on our map here. It's the number 1. That's Jesse Hall, where I'm actually talking to you from today. But as you look across this entire campus, everything that's highlighted in gold, inside of that is our campus. So we're a residential campus, meaning that we do have living facilities on campus for students, in particular our undergraduate students. And certainly related to today's topic, you'll notice several different areas related to sport here. So right in the center of our campus, this number 7 that you're looking at, that is our student recreation center. So it's essentially the general student body gymnasium. It's an amazing facility. It's been rated by Sports Illustrated magazine as one of the top university gymnasiums in the country. You'll see right next to it, Stankowski Field, which is a massive triple pitch with a track running around it right next to sand volleyball. And then as we kind of look at the university level athletics, we look over and we see our Memorial Stadium. So our very large American football stadium that seats over 60,000 spectators, and some of our other world-class university athletic facilities. So this kind of gives you an idea of the size of Mizzou. Now, I also mentioned that even though we're not specifically talking about maybe students who are going to be athletes today, knowing that that can take students that are incredibly talented, we do at least want to get a good look at what are some of the athletic avenues here at the University of Missouri. So we compete in the Southeast Conference. It's one of the top conferences across all U.S. university athletics. The photo you're looking at here, this gives you a close-up of that Memorial Stadium that I mentioned. So this is our American football stadium, which does tend to be the most popular sport here in the U.S. You can see everyone is dressed in black and gold, as I am today, trying to represent our Tigers. That's our mascot. So we're trying to look like our mascot and support our team on. All of the programs listed here on the right side of the slide give you an idea of the NCAA Division I programs that we offer. So these are competing at the very highest level of university competition here in the U.S. And in fact, our programs at the Division I level, as many others across this country, are what often provide Olympic athletes here in the U.S. So not uncommon for many of the students who participate in these NCAA Division I athletics to then go on and compete. Some of them for the U.S., as well as then many others who may come here and then compete for their home countries across the globe. So another big part of student life here at Mizzou, I mentioned that living on campus is something that undergraduates typically do, and being involved in sport is something that's very natural for students throughout their time on campus. So we have lots of ways for you to continue to play. So intramural and club teams, these are going to be, for example, if you live in one of our residence halls and you're an avid basketball player, you and some of the your roommates and others in your hall can form a team together to play against others across campus. So organized, competitive, typically with a championship tournament at the end, but a great way to stay involved within the sports that you love. Club teams are going to be a little bit more selective than the intramural teams. So these will typically be teams across campus that will have tryouts, that may then travel to play other universities in different locations, but they're not quite at that university level where they would receive scholarship support or be considered a varsity sport here on campus. But still, great ways to be able to stay involved, to continue to play your favorite sports, and to show your school spirit. We also have kind of maybe less traditional sporting areas, but esports is a very big program on our campus. And we also have a publicly available esport laboratory or gaming center that's available not only to our varsity teams that compete, but then also to members of campus anytime that they would like to go in and use those machines. Being on campus also means being involved in all sorts of student organizations. So today, obviously, we're kind of focusing on sport, but there's a full 600 different student organizations that students can be involved with. As we've seen, many of those may be sport related, but others may follow your passions in areas around music, around government, around student government, or perhaps celebrating cultures from your home country. And then here's a shot inside of that Missouri Recreation Center, right? So the student gym that I mentioned that we looked at on our map slide, this is going to be kind of a glimpse into one of the 2 swimming pools that are part of that. And then another reason that Mizzou has grown to the size that it has is that we are considered a comprehensive university. So that means that we are going to offer a very wide range of programs across many different fields, including the health sciences, engineering, journalism, the humanities, the social sciences. Really just about any program you're thinking of is something that you would be able to study here at Mizzou. And again, the photos here are kind of showing off what I mentioned earlier, what we call our Missouri method of instruction, where we really intentionally try and get students opportunities to get outside of the classroom and show off their knowledge and perfect what their future career is going to be. So now that we've kind of taken a look at Mizzou, let's focus in on what we offer around the areas of sport. And so one of the things that I've done to kind of maybe help shape our thinking on this is to just look at some different career categories in sport. So again, we know that the athletes themselves are kind of a separate category, but what are opportunities for those of us who might not quite be that quick or aren't necessarily going to make it on a professional team? What are areas that we can work in that are going to still allow us to be around the sports we love and working within that field? So I've kind of just made 5 different categories here to kind of help shape our thinking on this. The first area is business and administrative. So we'll kind of delve a little bit more into what are some of those individual careers in that area, and then what are the areas that you might want to study if that's what you would like to go into. Similarly, media and communications. So probably how all of us get our news about sport. We're waking up and checking on our phones to see how our team did, or potentially if they're going to make the playoffs, or how they did in the World Cup qualifiers. All of this is obviously coming through sports journalism and communications, right? Medical and nutrition. So this is going to obviously be playing a very large part in how athletes perform, making sure that they stay healthy. advancing the knowledge that we have about the human body and how we continue to kind of get more and more performance out of our athletes. Similarly, performance and analytics. This is going to maybe focus a little bit more on the on-field performance, right? So finding ways that we're actually able to now use things like AI and data science, even in sports that we have had for hundreds and hundreds of years. We're getting a new look into those now with some of the ways that we're able to review and analyze those sports. And then lastly, one that probably doesn't always come to mind for many people is the actual sporting venues, right? So we're going to kind of look at what are some of the areas that you can work in that are related to, say, arenas or stadiums, right? So jobs that are going to be, or careers that are going to be related to the places where we play major sport and what you can do within that area. So now we'll kind of just dive into each of these 5 different areas, looking at a few more of the potential careers that are in those areas, and then what it is that you can study to prepare yourself for that. So in the first group, business and administrative, some of the careers that I've listed here, a sports agent. So obviously know that as athletics become even more and more popular, and obviously the salaries and the earnings for some of those athletes become higher and higher, there's a real demand for them to have sports agents, right? Someone who's representing them in negotiations for the contracts with their teams, with potential sponsorships or other revenue streams that they may be able to secure. And to be able to arrive at this and work in this area, it's going to require you to have a good knowledge of business, of finance, potentially of law if you're looking at sports law or entertainment law within different areas. These can be great pathways to preparing yourself for that. Similarly, an athletics director. So for example, here at the University of Missouri, all of those different sports that we have at the university level that we looked at, we actually have one individual who's kind of in charge of that overall athletic department, and that's our athletic director. So again, someone who has to be very good at delegating, at management, at understanding different operations. So this might also be a business degree or a management degree. Similarly, also not uncommon for those sorts of roles to maybe go on to study law. A general manager, so someone who's the front office for a specific sport. Similarly, management or hospitality management can be great pathways to those different areas. And then also we can think about if you're someone who wants to own your own sporting facility or your own gymnasium. You could look at studying in something like our Parks, Recreation, Sport, and Tourism program. It's going to combine coursework that's specifically about obviously understanding the sport and the actual physical exercise, but then also courses in management, in accounting, making sure that you're someone who can run your own business that is specifically related to sport. So again, these are going to be areas that within kind of this business and administrative area that you could look at working in and staying in the business of sport. Now, media and communications. This is one where in particular the University of Missouri is quite strong. We actually had the first school of journalism that was founded in the world. It was founded back in 1908. So we've got a long history of producing great journalists, and that includes many great sports journalists and sports photojournalists. So if you're someone who would like to be a sports broadcaster, so actually calling the games, or maybe being part of programming like ESPN or other sports oriented newscasts, studying in a journalism program can be a great start. We specifically have a sports journalism track that really prepares students to go into that. Photojournalists, so being able to cover the actual events from the sidelines. Those can be obviously some of the most exciting seats in the house when you see them actually maybe even getting involved in the contact of the game. Obviously, they're right there to be able to get the best pictures. So this could be a great and exciting pathway that, again, can take you through a photojournalism track. We also know that many of the different teams are very savvy about managing their brands, about making sure that they are represented well on social media, that they're also making sure that they're being involved in all of the right kind of organizations and areas that they would like to promote their individual team brands. So social media managers or marketing managers, these can also be great picks. So studying something like strategic communications or maybe even a business marketing degree. These can be things that are going to help prepare you for working in that sports media. Now, moving a little bit more to the STEM side of things and looking at a little bit more within health. Obviously, keeping athletes healthy, having to deal with different injuries, trying to make sure that the training periods and rest periods are the best for athletes' bodies is something that becomes more and more important as we ask more and more from our athletes. So roles like athletic trainers, making sure that you study something within exercise science or athletic training. So being able to actually work with athletes to make sure that they're at their top. Physiotherapy. So again, studying physical therapy could be a great route into this program. We also know that obviously for athletes, their bodies are kind of like high octane engines. We have to make sure that they're being fed properly, right? So the more and more we learn about nutrition, the better we are about making sure that athletes are eating balanced diets that help them to recuperate as fast as possible, as well as then to have the right blend of nutrients, proteins, energies within their body to be able to perform the best while on the field. So studying nutrition can be a great route into that, to being a dietitian or a nutritionist within a program. And we also know that similarly, not only for athletes is the physical side very important, but they need to stay mentally sharp, making sure that they're focused, that they are able to perform their best while on the pitch or while on their individual field. So right now, sports psychology, another huge area, especially here in the US, where people within the branch of psychology are kind of going specifically into what it means to work with and to counsel very high-level athletes who are used to performing on large stages and at a very high level. And then we have performance and analytics. So this can be a little bit more not specifically with the on-field piece, but looking at how do we get the most out of that. So obviously, scouts being able to go out and look at and find athletes that are high performers within their field. So when we think about teams drafting different players or looking to trade for different players, obviously they have a team of scouts who are reviewing them, who have an understanding of what their physical abilities look like, what they can add to a team. And these may be areas that they've studied within fitness programming or even studying coaching itself. So also coaches obviously play a huge role. So again, that background in maybe psychology, coaching, these are going to be areas that help prepare coaches to get the most out of their athletes, to lead and to make sure that they have teams that are inspired and playing at their best. And then we also mentioned that in this new era, we seem like we can't quite escape the term AI. But this really is something that is coming obviously to sports. If any of you are sports fans, you've started to see this in all of your favorite sports. We can just keep more stats. We can essentially look at more different categories to kind of see what performance looks like. And we can find more ways for then that to be fed back to the athletes to help improve their performance. So sports data analyst, if you're someone who is very comfortable with statistics and maybe likes kind of the statistical part of sport, looking at looking at athletes, field goal percentage make or their assist to turnover ratios, all of these things that kind of take that mathematical approach. Then looking at a career in sports data analyst may be something that you would want to do. And then lastly, related to the athletic venues. So as I mentioned earlier, this is one where we maybe don't always think about the venue itself as being something that's fully related to sport. But obviously, these are typically huge assets that either teams or cities own, that they're not only have to maintain, have to make sure that they're in a great position and in readiness for those athletes to be able to perform, but also they have to think about what they can use that asset for. How do I use this arena if the basketball team here in my city only plays 30 games a year? Obviously, that leaves me over 300 different dates that I have this great asset sitting here that I would like to maybe find other revenue streams. So venue managers or someone that is in charge of actually not only the sporting side of that athletic venue, but also then thinking about what other revenue streams, what are the other areas where it may be involved in civic life, be able to be involved in having or hosting concerts or conferences or other things that can bring that venue more revenue. This is something that is a fairly new kind of field of study here in the universities in the US. And Mizzou is proud to offer a degree in sport venue management. So again, specifically looking at the actual facilities and how you can best manage those. Similarly, as we look forward to the World Cup coming up here in a few months, we know that every year with different locations, or pardon me, every time that the World Cup comes around with different locations played, there's a lot of focus on the actual sod, right? The turf, the grass. This is a very scientific and specialized field of study. So turf science or plant science, these are going to be, again, more of a scientific approach, but people who are incredibly invested in making sure that they understand how that grows. And then how high-level athletes making very precise turns and swift cuts are going to be able to get their footing and be able to play on that turf. So this can be an important area of work. And then similarly, we know that with large sporting events, I mentioned even here at the University of Missouri, our American football stadium seats 62,000 people. So events like those require a lot of people making sure that they understand the logistics, thinking about the flow of people in and out of the stadium, the concessions that may be involved, making sure that those events come off where spectators and fans are able to have a positive experience, a safe experience, and where they leave feeling like they would like to come back to that event. So again, studying in something like hospitality management, these are going to be positions all over sporting fields that are helping to make sure that the events that we all love to attend are going to be ones that are memorable and safe. So that's kind of a quick breakdown of the 5 areas that I kind of just came up with here to help maybe break down what different areas working around sport can look like. So now we've actually got some time here for any questions that there may be. And if you want to put those into the chat, then Jillian can certainly help answer those through the chat, or we'd be also happy to bring those up here on camera if you have any.
Thank you, Ryan. It was really great. And thank you so much for such perfect match of career opportunities and the programs that you have. I was also considering, like, if I have a chance to study somewhere, I would definitely choose something from the career options that you proposed here. It was great. Thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah.
And while we are answering any questions, I'll put the slide up here. The QR code that's underneath that's our mascot Truman. I mentioned we are the Tigers. So Truman's pointing at a QR code there that you can scan that will allow you to sign up for our mailing list. If you'd like to receive any more information about Mizzou, any of the programs that I'd mentioned here, as well as then that can be where we can kind of jump off and have a private conversation via email if anyone does have anything they'd like to follow up on.
Great, amazing. Maybe you could also share about some financial opportunities for international students that you have at the university.
Yeah, so we offer merit-based scholarships. So in fact, right now we are doing our scholarship review for all of our students that have been admitted for the fall 26 term, which will begin in August here. So we have a deadline of this year, it was March 1st. For any of our students that are younger, the new deadline will actually be December 1st. So it is going to be moving up significantly. But what we do is we take all of our admitted students by that deadline date, and then we do a holistic review. So looking at not only their performance, but also the courses that they opted to select. So being able to see what essentially the rigor or the difficulty of their programming in secondary school looked like. If they have test scores like the SAT or ACT, that can be included as well. But then we'll also look at any extracurricular activities. We'll certainly take into consideration their letters of recommendation, as well as then we recommend an essay. And then for those students, we're going to be reviewing them for either our International Merit Scholarship, which is a $10,000 per year scholarship that's renewable for all 4 years of a bachelor's degree here, or our International Honors Scholarship. And that is a $20,000 per year award, again, renewable for the 4 years of the program.
Thank you so much for sharing. That is really helpful, I think. And thank you so much for sharing so many links for our students. We don't have like any questions in the chat, but maybe you would also like could share some maybe suggestions or kind of advice for our international students, how to outstand out of other students. What should they pay attention to? Maybe focus. You mentioned like everything is important, of course, like resume, CV, extra activities, or letters of recommendations. Of course, these are all important things. But maybe like some kind of suggestions from your side.
Yeah, so I know that for us, many times, obviously, the students that you feel that you really get to know a little bit more during the process are ones that you find yourself, again, to use a sports metaphor, kind of rooting for, right? Or that you're getting behind. So many of the ways that we see that are when students have really focused on, say, their application essay, that they've made an essay that allows me to kind of feel as though I know them a bit more. So not going through and maybe just putting everything up that was on their resume, but kind of going into depth on that, or maybe telling a story that's going to provide a little more depth behind something that we see on their resume. Those become the students that naturally, those of us who sit on kind of selection committees or review committees naturally come into saying, oh, did you read hers? This is who I want her on campus, or this young man is going to be a great Tiger, right? We go in and we kind of are already feeling that and kind of rooting for those students. So then it becomes one where we are maybe, working a little harder to make sure they get the maximum scholarship we can offer. Another way that I would say that students can kind of stand out, obviously taking the time to make a great essay, but then also when working with different universities, spending a little time to know that university before maybe reaching out and contacting them. So making sure that, instead of just telling us, oh, you're one of my favorite schools, I can't wait to go there, and then our name is misspelled or there's maybe some misinformation, taking a little time to look into it and say, hey, you're one of my top schools. And if it is, say, something related to sport here, I see that your basketball team just did great in the NCAA tournament, or I'm excited to be on campus and experience some of these things for myself. When students take the time to personalize it and do a little work on their side, to know the university that they're communicating with and to kind of have a personal connection with that, then that also certainly goes a long way.
Great, amazing. This is really helpful, and I think it will be really valuable for our students because, every year we also read thousands of essays from students, to help them to stand out in their applications, of course. And of course, I see what you mean with this notes. Okay, so I think it was great review of all the programs. Thank you so much for really making this great match. I was really amazed and it was really interesting to see how you can explore different options while studying at the university, so many career opportunities right now for students, and you can it's up to you how you're going to be successful in this way. Thank you so much, Ryan, and maybe Jillian, any comments, last words from you?
Thanks so much for the time and giving us the opportunity to share about Mizzou and kind of give an overarching view of different majors that we offer that could be great for sports related degrees. So appreciate your time and look forward to connecting with many students.
Thank you so much, everyone, and see you during our next webinars.
Thanks, Osama.